edition of Brownsville As Is with
A for Shauna,
S for Sonia. Today we are going to give you a tour of our local hospital.
That's it. You know what, Sonia? This has been a long time coming, and I'm excited to go inside and speak with Michael Banks. What do you think?
I'm ready.
You are?
I am.
So am I. Y'all come on!
This is the waiting room for the emergency department. The ambulance will offload on the other side, but any family members or any visitors or walk-ins can come in here. We'll have check-in at that window, and then we'll have registration through those two doors. So they'll take patients back there, get their information, insurance information, all their data, and then they'll be seen through the ER. So down this hallway, we're going to have like an urgent care in addition to the emergency department. So if somebody walks in and it's not a true emergency and it's more of an urgent care matter, then we'll have this open. We've got 4 patient rooms in here, and it'll be 24/7, just like the emergency department. It'll be open on the weekends as well. We don't want to take any business away from the primary care physicians here in town. So hopefully everybody continues to see them. But if it's after hours or on weekends when the offices, the doctor's offices are closed, and we've got our docs and nurse practitioners that'll see urgent care patients here. So this is the emergency department. So the ambulances will bring the stretchers in from those doors there. We've got a decontamination room right outside those doors as well. And then we'll have 4 emergency room or observation rooms, as you can see here. This one over here will be, as you can see, it's not glass, it's got the door. So anybody that may have psychological issues, or if the jail needs to transport a prisoner here for treatment, then we can put them in that room. It's got security cameras, restraints, and whatever else that we need to make sure that they're taken care of. Here we've got 2 trauma rooms. This one and that one, and they're almost identical in their setup. But for something that requires more than just observation and treatment, we've got these. Hopefully, we won't be using these a whole lot. If it's to the point where we've got to use the trauma rooms, then we'll probably be calling in an air ambulance because they're serious enough to either go to Jackson or Memphis. But we have the capability to handle it here until that happens. So here we've got a new CT machine, CT scanner, and it's as good as any of them in the state. You measure your CT scanners by the number of slices that it takes for each picture, and a lot of them are 8, some are 16. Ours is a 64 slice, so it can pick up certain conditions in the heart that an 8 or 16 slice couldn't pick up. So we're excited about that. So we'll get that calibrated, take the plastic off of it, get it calibrated, and be ready to go when we open up. Down this hallway, we're right on the back side of the CT scanner. We'll have X-ray, we'll have ultrasound, and we'll have mammography. And according to all the doctors' offices we've talked to, mammography is a big issue. A lot of people either can't afford to travel to Jackson or Memphis to get those preventative services done. So we'll be able to do those here. And the same thing with labs. A lot of the labs where people would have to go to Jackson or Memphis to get it done, we'll be able to do it here. A lot of people that they would get the order to do a lab or to do some sort of imaging and just never go and get it done. Just because of the transportation issue. So now essentially they can run across the street and we can get it taken care of. So I'll show you the X-ray machine. Obviously the bed won't be in here, but that's the new X-ray machine. The hospital had 2 old ones, but it'll be brand new state-of-the-art X-ray. And we don't have the ultrasound or mammography in yet, but it'll be in those other 2 doors. And all these walls are lined with lead. So it was pretty interesting when they took the sheetrock off to actually see the lead behind the wall.
So there was lead here in the old hospital?
Yeah, you gotta have lead lined walls, to keep the radiation.
Even back then?
Even back then, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so everything we're walking through right now is phase 1. We've got phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. When we open our doors August 1st, phase 1 will be online, and that's the emergency department, that's the urgent care center, it'll be imaging, it'll be labs, and then 9 patient rooms. We'll finish out phases 2, which is the rest of the patient rooms, so we'll be up to 49 beds within a year of opening. And then phase 3 includes 2 operating rooms, as well as some other area where we'll get into maybe, physical therapy, occupational therapy. But that stuff will start coming online probably within a year. And we'll have ultrasound initially, mammography will be within a year. So this is the OR suite, the operating room suite, and we'll step in here. But when Braden Health bought the hospital and they came in, they took everything down to the studs. So you can see what, at some point in time it looked like. Even from the outside, they took the outside of the walls off, the inside of the walls off, and so you could literally see through it. And they went back in and redid all the walls, re-insulated. And then one of the neat things is you got the traditional insulation in here, but the outside walls are the spray foam insulation to make them more energy efficient. And they decided to go ahead and do the spray foam in between patient rooms because it dampens the noise. So you won't be able to hear everything that's going on in between patient rooms and give everybody a little bit more peace and quiet. Yeah, so right here, this room, we'll be able to do a lot of gastrointestinal stuff, and endoscopies, colonoscopies, and so those will be done here. And then next door is sort of the prep and recovery room for all that. But that's another service that you had to go out of town to do, and so now we'll be able to do that in town. There's the prep and recovery room. You see it set up like a patient room where you've got all your data centers, you've got your oxygen and your med gas. And each room that I'll show you is a private room. So 49 beds is what we anticipate, but we set them all up to be semi-private in case of a COVID surge or overflow or mass casualty. We can put 2 patients in each room. It's not our intent, but in case of emergency, we've got it set up that way. So this is still phase 1. So on the left is your typical patient room. And you can kind of see the similar setup. We've got 2 sets of everything, but we only anticipate 1 patient per room. But this hallway essentially has the 9 patient rooms that we'll have that will come online with phase 1. And then across the hallway, this is our lab. So we'll be able to do pretty much any labs except for micro. And so 90% of all the labs that would be ordered by physicians around here, if they don't do the basic labs at their office, then they can come here, walk into the ER, and we'll draw blood or do whatever needs to be done, probably in the urgent care area. But anyway, we'll be able to get those taken care of. We've already hired Janine Ing as our lab supervisor, so she's been getting all this stuff set up. We've got to go through a period of certification. We've got to calibrate everything, and got about a 30-day period to do all that. So that's sort of where we are right now. You can see we're doing some finishing touches just on electrical, plumbing, construction, but most everybody's gone. And so now we're in the certification process on the lab and the pharmacy. So these are the 9 patient rooms that we talked about being in phase 1. Each one is set up pretty similar, almost identical, really. But you've got all new nurse call system, all new telemetry systems. So one interesting thing, we've seen some of the beds that are in the room, but we're getting state-of-the-art Hill-Rom beds. And so essentially a nurse will be able to walk by a patient's room at night, and the bed shows different symbols and different color lights on the floor. It's at the foot of the bed. So if a patient hadn't moved in so many minutes or so many hours, then they could be developing bed sores, or there may be an issue, and it would show a certain light and a certain symbol on the floor, and we'd know to check on them. It can also take the patient's temperature, so you don't have to come in and wake them up every 2 hours to take their temperature. So a lot of the things where you used to have to come in every few hours and wake up the patient to make sure they were okay, Now the nurse can just glance in the room, look at the floor, see the color, see the symbols, and know that everything is okay. So this is the nurse's station for the inpatient rooms, and essentially phase 1 stops at those double doors there, and essentially kind of where that mop bucket is, so a couple rooms there, and then at those double doors down there. And so all of these will be patient rooms in phase 1, and then the other ends of the hallways, they'll come online, during phase 2, and be fully functional within about a year. So this is the old chapel, and it's going to be the new chapel. That's one thing that Dr. Braden is very adamant about. Is make sure that we have a chapel and a chaplain on hand and available to everybody. So we're going to go kind of we're coming back toward the emergency department waiting room, which is where we started, but I wanted to show you the pharmacy. So we'll have, this is the pharmacy, and so it'll be a full service pharmacy, not only for hospital patients, but also for the public. And again, we don't want to compete with our local pharmacies, but it'll be available after hours and on weekends. That 24-hour service is probably going to be toward the phase 3 at the end of the first year. So initially it'll just serve the patients of the hospital, but eventually we want to serve the community as well. So we'll have it 24/7. So this is the entrance on the west side of the building, and sort of the administrative entrance, but you can see the tiles with the kids' handprints and artwork, and those started in 1999 when Methodists owned the facility, and they got the kindergartners to do their handprints or to draw a little picture on them. And so we had to take a lot of them off as we redid the sheetrock. But Dr. Braden was adamant on keeping those, so they were individually removed, cleaned, and then put back up. And so it's been a labor of love, but he was adamant about making sure those stayed up. Once we get the doors open, we'll have an open house. We're also partnering with Mayor Rawls on his Healthy Moods initiatives and the health fair he added out here, a few weeks ago. We gave tours of the hospital. But anyway, we can get involved in the community. We've been talking to mental health providers, certainly the local doctors and pharmacists. We'll be getting into the industries and talking to the HR people, and anything else that we can do. Dr. Braden is big about being super involved in the community and serving the community.
Well, Sonia, what do you think?
I'm so looking forward to the hospital being open and serving the community. It's been a long time.
It has been, and so, just to be able to tour and to talk to Michael about the services and see the facility, this has been inspiring. It's been very inspirational.
It has been.
It has been. So I guess, we've kind of got a wonderful backdrop behind us, and I'm glad they were able to salvage all of this precious artwork. All right, until the next time.
Until next time.
Bye, y'all.